There never was a time when it is absolutely necessary for partners who share the same values to work together. This is the time, particularly when multilateralism is under attack, particularly when the world order process is also being weakened.
The EU Commission President von der Leyen said the massive EU investment package included funding for a transition to clean energy from the wind and sun and through the production of hydrogen. It will also go towards ramping up vaccine manufacturing in South Africa.
We are together announcing an investment package to mobilize 4.7 billion euro in South Africa, and this is in both our interest. South Africa wants to protect the health of its people, as well as your autonomy and your local industries.
The summit also discussed efforts to end the war in Ukraine, with President Volodymyr Zelensky expected in South Africa next month.
We are neutral, and we've been encouraging both Ukraine and Russia to find a peaceful solution. And we will continue to do so even when President Zelensky comes here.
South Africa is the EU's largest trading partner in sub-Saharan Africa, exporting some 24 billion euros in goods in 2023, mostly minerals and automotive goods. Chukunonsonwa Bweze, NTA News.
The African Union Commission has announced the successful transition of leadership as the newly elected chairperson, deputy chairperson, and commissioners officially took office. Musa Faki Mohammed handed over to Mahmoud Ali Yusuf as the new chairperson of the African Union. Mahmoud Ali pledged his commitment to addressing institutional challenges and to assert Africa's position in the global architecture. He stated that Africa must take its destiny into its own hands, saying it's time to assert Africa as a determined continent capable of influencing major global decisions and proposing solutions to the crises that affect the citizens. He therefore pledged to act with determination to raise the Union to the level of the people's expectations. In his appreciation notes, recalling the impacts and challenges of leading the Continental Organization in the last 8 years, Musa Faki Mohammed remained optimistic in the human capacity, determination and passion of the African people to move forward the agenda towards the African agenda. The handover ceremony marks the beginning of a new era for the AU following the election and swearing in of the chairperson and deputy chairperson held during the 38th ordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government on February 15, 2025. Their leadership is built on a foundation of visionary policies aimed at addressing the pressing challenges faced by the continent and fostering sustainable growth, peace and security across Africa. Now, the Zimbabwean Health Minister Douglas Mobeshora said on Friday that cuts to U.S. aid have created a huge gap in funding, which is affecting HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria program in the country. Mobeshora, at a press conference in the capital, Harare, stated that the gap created is huge, amounting to between 300 to 400 million US dollars, emphasizing that the country is working towards closing the gap.
And we also had staff, nurses, doctors, and some in administration and some in our laboratories who were being paid through different organizations, but the fund was coming from the US government. So these are the areas that we have realized there will be a gap because of that executive order. And we can assure everyone in Zimbabwe who is on alert that they will not miss their medications. There will be no shortage.
Elsewhere, U.S. President Donald Trump has reiterated his desire to annex the autonomous territory of Greenland from Denmark in the interests of international security. Trump's threats to take over the resource-rich Arctic island have turned an unprecedented global spotlight on the territory. Chukunonso Mwabese reports.
President Trump, while playing host to the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, told reporters at the White House of his intentions about Greenland when asked about his vision for the annexation.
I think it'll happen, and I'm just thinking, I didn't give it much thought before, but I'm sitting with a man that could be very instrumental. You know, Mark, we need that for international security, not just security, international. We have a lot of our favorite players, cruising around the coast, and we have to be careful.
Rutte said he will not be involved in any question of Greenland becoming part of the United States, saying he does not want to drag NATO in that.
When it comes to the high north and the Arctic, you are totally right. The Chinese are now using these routes. We know that the Russians are rearming. We know we have a lack of icebreakers. So the fact that the outside Russia, there are 7 Arctic countries working together on this under US leadership is very important to make sure that that region, that part of the world stays safe. And we know things are changing there and we have to be there.
The US president's comments comes days after Greenland's elections, with all the political parties and the majority of the island's 57,000 inhabitants backing independence, though they disagree on how quickly the process should go. On the Russia-Ukraine war, Trump says it will be very disappointing if Russia rejects Ukraine's peace plan.
A ceasefire from Russia, and we have, not been working in the dark. We've been discussing with Ukraine land and pieces of land that would be kept and lost, and all of the other elements of a final agreement. What you can get, this is what you can't get. They discussed NATO and being in NATO, and everybody knows what the answer to that is. They've known that answer for 40 years, in all fairness.
Ukraine agreed to a U.S. proposal for a 30-day ceasefire at talks in Saudi Arabia this week, bowing to pressure after a showdown between Trump and President Vladimir Zelensky at the Oval Office on February 28. Chukunonso Mwabese, NTA News.
From the U.S. now we take you to Canada, where Mark Carney has been sworn in as the new Prime Minister after Justin Trudeau formally resigned, ending nearly a decade in power. Carney was sworn in as Canada's 24th Prime Minister, succeeding Trudeau at a ceremony at Radio Hall in the Canadian capital, Ottawa.
I, Mark Carney, do solemnly and sincerely promise and swear that I will truly and faithfully, and to the best of my skill and knowledge, execute the powers and trust reposed in me as Prime Minister.
Carney's new cabinet were also sworn in, with Trudeau's former longtime deputy, Chrystia Freeland, taking over as the new Transport Minister. You're still watching the news on NTA International. More reports will be coming your way. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has advised opposition political parties in Nigeria to shun unnecessary criticism capable of distracting governance. While playing host to the National Leadership of Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, he reaffirmed that President Tinubu will still maintains his status as a Democrat and proponent of a healthy democratic nation. Saliu Abdullahi Gwanara reports.
In their quest to build on the gains of the nation's 25 years of democracy, IPAC, a group of Nigerians from across the political parties, are intensifying efforts to get the commitment of stakeholders to key into its proposed documentary project aimed to promote national unity and uplift the nation's political history.
This project aims to tell our story to the younger generation, particularly Gen Z, through the powerful medium of faith. It will serve as an educational resource, a unifying force, and a reminder of the importance of democracy in shaping Nigeria's progress.
This development, the government spokesperson agreed, is in line with ongoing efforts towards a national rebirth.
So we feel happy that all of you are not just coming together to oppose the government of the day. You are coming together to collaborate with the government of the day I will tell you that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, being a democrat himself, respects healthy competition, because that is what allows democracy to grow. But he also recognizes the need for us to also come together as a people for the purpose of growing our own nation. Without peace, without tranquility, without unity, without us all coming together, there will be no nation for us in the first place. And if we don't have a Nigeria, a stable Nigeria, we cannot have any political party.
Leadership of the Inter-Party Advisory Council is assured of the ministry's support as the nation's image promoter. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Now, National Park Service and the Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons are forging an alliance that will birth a united front against the proliferation of small and light arms in Nigeria. The two agencies, during their meeting at the National Park Service in Abuja, laid bare the stark realities of this problem and the urgent need for a coordinated response in the vast, verdant expanses of Nigeria's forests and national park used by the criminals. Once considered sanctuaries of biodiversity have now become silent battlegrounds in the nation's struggle to arrest the problem of smuggling and illegal flow of weapons that threaten both wildlife and human security. Director General of the Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, Johnson Babatunde Kokumo, bearing this in mind, led a team to the National Park Service headquarters in Abuja in search of collaboration. Intelligence, he told the Conservator General of Park, indicates that Nigeria's vast forests have become the preferred routes for arms smugglers exploiting the very borders they are tasked to protect, and as such needed a robust collaborative effort to stem this tide.
And we have equally identified forest routes, and that is why we are here to collaborate efforts to fight the criminal elements.
Conservator General of Park Service Ibrahim Goni, on his part, identified inadequate firearms as one of the challenges park rangers are confronted with in an attempt to effectively deal with arms and light weapons smuggling through the forests and borders.
I want to request that the office of the NSA looks into the issue of strengthening the national parks by way of providing more ammunition and impressing maybe on Mr. President to approve massive recruitment force and training.
The National Park Service was of the view that desks for armed-bearing agencies in the office of the National Security Advisor be set up for easy communication. The Nigerian Police Force and the Voice of Nigeria are synergizing to enhance efforts to combat the proliferation of fake news and disinformation in the country's public discourse. This was manifest at a meeting between the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, and the Director General, Von Jibrin Babandachi, along with his management team, held at the force headquarters in Abuja. Chikunansu Nwabrese reports.
The Director General of Voice of Nigeria, Jibrin Babandachi, while pledging Von's support in engaging the public through its various platforms to spread factual information as well as clarify misconceptions about the activities of the Nigerian police, underscored the critical role of responsible information sharing in maintaining national security and unity.
At the Voice of Nigeria, we will be in the lead in letting the world know the good work that the Nigerian police is doing. And also on behalf of management staff, to commend you, sir, and the team and the entire Nigerian police for your dedication to securing our own country when we go to sleep.
The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, on his part, reaffirmed the commitment of the Nigerian police in upholding free and independent press in a democratic society, but decried the spread of misinformation to damage Nigerian institutions and to project the country negatively to the global community.
I'm happy with the efforts Voice of Nigeria is making to combat the scourge of fake news, misinformation about Nigeria and about Nigerians. We're open to suggestions. We're open to feedback on how we can better improve our services to the Nigerian people.
The IGP acknowledged that the visit by VOM management has kick-started an enduring synergy and partnership between the agency and the force, especially with regard to providing accurate and timely information to members of the public on the affairs of the Nigerian police. Chukunonsonwa Boeze, NTA News.
The Federal High Court's Abuja division has dismissed the bail applications of 4 suspects linked with the alleged bandit kingpin Bello Turchi. The presiding judge, Justice Emeka Nwete, held that the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice through his counsel had made a compelling case, stating that releasing the defendants would pose a significant threat to the national security. Justice Nwete agreed with the AGF's counsel, David Casway, who argued that while bail is a discretionary decision for the courts, it must be made judiciously, especially considering the severity of the charges. In the light of this, the court granted an accelerated hearing for the trial, but rejected the bail applications. In addition, the court also granted an ex parte motion to protect witnesses as the trial begins. The 4 suspects, Musa Kamarawa, Abubakar Hashimu, also known as Dr. Samuel Chinedu, and Lucky Chukuma, pleaded not guilty to the charge during the arraignment. The defendants are facing an 11-count charge relating to terrorism activities in northern Nigeria between 2018 and 2022. And up next is our weather report. This is where we end the news. Many thanks for being part of it. I am Charles Alpha. Our sign language interpreter has been John Bamdele. Thanks for watching.